Let's just go from there. Like, listen, you know.
We're talking about Sexy Red.
We're talking about Sexy Red's performance at Rolling Loud, Los Angeles this past weekend. How bad it was. And Stu, you were just making a point. And just to, I'll let you jump back in on what you were saying, but to me, it's not so much about how bad. That is part of it. Are you bad? Are you just good or bad at what you do? It's more so about, do you put the work in? Because if you put the work in, like I'll give an example. I don't like City Girls. City Girls are trash. City Girls are trash to me. But at least I see a level of work ethic and they elevate.
Do you care? Or is it just about how much money you can make and how many young girls you can influence? I personally get a real bad aura just from watching her. You hear all these people talking about industry plants and all this. I just get a real a sick stomach feeling in my stomach. Like, who co-signed this person to be, the face of hip hop music today? Who saw enough in her to big her up? Because she pretty much went from ashy to classy overnight. Girl is good, making a lot of money.
She's making a lot of money. More power to her.
We should push her. More Sexy Red. Who is behind that? Like you have to see some real deviant intent for her to be the face of hip hop today. Who saw something there? There are girls that are a lot, like you said, like you guys say, more talented. I don't want to get the looks and everything, but possibly better looking, and it's a better representation of what real hip hop is. But when you let somebody who you can pretty much go down to 52nd Market right now and find a girl that works at the the counter, the lunch counter down there.
I don't mean to be crazy.
I mean, come on, bro, you're just snatching anybody.
First of all, you're talking about looks better. Looking at her, thank God we don't have smell-o-vision. She looks stank. I wouldn't touch her with your Johnson.
Thanks, Dave.
Or your Johnson.
That's a real classy line.
Yeah.
That's a real classy line.
I wouldn't. Thanks. I just would not. That's the first thing. Second of all, like, so laissez-faire. When you present like that, and like Snoop said, she actually got better. Like what I saw before, like what I saw this past weekend wasn't the floor. She was lower than that, and she was performing, getting money. And like I said, more power to her. But the thing is, like I said, it's about are you working at your craft? Are you trying to be an artist? Are you trying to elevate, like you said, Derek? Or are you just taking advantage of a thing? But the reason why you have the Sexy Reds and the City Girls and other artists like that, I'm not gonna put Flo Millie's a real MC, I'm sorry, but a bunch of other people from that genre is because they are a voice. They are a mouthpiece for a disenfranchised section of youth culture that had never been spoken to. In a very similar way, like Uncle Luke was back in the day with 2 Live Crew. Did we think that was trash back in the day? Yeah. It was garbage. But he spoke to a crowd down in that section of the South. First of all, the South had no voice, especially when you talk about Miami. With nothing coming out of Miami except that bass music, he gave them a voice. So I get that part of it. But when you're not working at your craft and trying to get better, and you don't give a damn, just give me the money, that's disrespectful for the kids that are spending money and downstreaming and liking your stuff and getting you that money. When you don't show any work ethic, that's disrespectful for me. It just is.
She's so extra. She's just so extra.
We talked about it. And the allure, just like when we were coming up, the allure of NWA, the allure of the gangster rhyme, and we wasn't no gangsters, we was not going to drive by.
But that's the allure.
But it's an allure, and it attracted all of us. Oh, they're cursing, and and it's hardcore, and it's just, there's a part of all of that in us. And for the girls that like that, we talked about touching the inner slut. Every girl has an inner slut.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's fine. We're at a party, you want to shake your ass, that's fine. But then it comes to a point, like you said, are you working on your craft? To me, Sexy Red is working on how can I be the most ratchet.
Right, and that's
And ratchetness is okay. And we used to call
It's
gangster
okay.
rap. It's called
It's
ratchet
okay.
rap now. That's fine. But remember, I pointed out the one line she said. She was like, get in and stretch it out. Or stretch something. And I was like, I said, why couldn't she say stretch it out like a rubber band?
Come on.
Stretch it out like
this is
Stretch
the
Armstrong. Like there was just no
Dog.
words talking, no messages talking.
That's the same artist whose booty hole brown and her pussy hole.
It just hurt my whole hip hop soul.
It does, Eric Shaul, but don't act like, we don't want to act like this is a new thing. Like you just said, sex sells, right? And ratchetness sells. Can I take you back to what our parents listened to? There was an artist named Millie Jackson back in the day that was the raunchiest in the game. You know what I mean? She spoke to, again, a crowd of women who didn't have a voice. So it's a tried and true formula in music.
You can have that voice,
Right.
but then at a certain point, you know what? I'm in the door now. Now you know what? If I want to stay in the door, maybe I can develop my skills.
Well, doggy, you are what you are.
Work on it.
You know what I mean? If you don't really have, she's working with the best she got. I'm gonna play devil's advocate for her. If you walk through the door and you're coming,
her beats are fire.
she has.
We want some playing Sexy Freaknik. Her beats
Come
are fire.
come with it. Let's hear it. Let's hear it. And you know what? We're gonna double back. Because we weren't recording through part of this segment, but this is a good segue. Speaking of sexy red and giving a voice to hootchiness and ratchetness, the Freaknik documentary on Hulu comes out tomorrow. The highly anticipated, much long-awaited Freaknik documentary that garnered a lot of attention and a lot of buzz through our social media because there were a lot of scared grandmothers, aunts, and mothers. Principals, teachers,
attorneys, doctors,
What
pastors.
they call grand mistress of the church and stuff. They're very scared because they don't want their footage to come out on Hulu in their thing and see them dropping it like this.
Oh, with social media, once that footage is seen, they go past the Linda. They go past the Linda. And it's going to be blown all over. It won't just be a one and done. It's over and done with. The church family is going to grab that, and that's going to be circulated. And then Pastor Lincoln might have to step back.
The deacon.
He might have to step back.
Is that Deacon Cleopa? What's it open? On top of Camaro? What the?
Again, it's going to
Or PC Plaza?
It's going to go over. It's going to be Jolene. Can you come to my office? The regional manager is here.
What is whatever word with you?
Miss Purdy.
Principal Jones.
Superintendent here wants to have a word.
As well as going to be some, baby. We got to talk. That's some voice does like.
Yeah.
Babe, it's me. You got to talk when you get home.
Yup.
Look at this thing. A lot of scared chicks coming home from work like.
All these little marks ain't look like me, but I just wrote it off like, damn. Maybe I thought it was the same shape.
Right.
But I'm only 5'4". How that nigga 6'5"? How he grow 6 inches taller than me?
Right.
We need to talk.
Yeah.
You see it with some old ass Atlanta Falcon dancing with Andre Rising behind it like. You be like, ooh, damn.
Couple coaches.
Come on.
Ball boys and quality assistants. Now you head coach. What?
The fabric of black society is in a tizzy about this special about to drop tomorrow. So this is a definitely grab your popcorn. I know I'm going to be watching.
Without question.
I know I'm going to be watching. I can't wait to see it. And like you were saying earlier there, when we were talking about it off camera, it's going to be interesting to see what angle they take. Because, really, that whole era, which like we were saying, Freaknik was the incubator for that whole era of events.
It's a cultural benchmark for us. It's a cultural linchpin.
It's a moment.
It's definitely a moment. Yeah, it's definitely a moment.
You know what I mean? So you have to talk about the cultural significance of that event, the things that bred from that event, and a whole culture that went on and it represented a lot. It's big. We're not going to talk about the economic impact it had on Atlanta. That's one of the things that helped land Atlanta as the Mecca of the South.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like they don't call it Hot Atlanta for nothing. You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
You talk about the South, and you're African American and you're young and affluent.
Starts and ends with Atlanta.
Starts and ends with Atlanta. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be a huge special tomorrow. Produced by Nas's production company, Mass Appeal.
Okay.
Nice.
Executive produced by Jermaine Dupree.
Nice.
He's been doing the whole media row thing, the media tour thing to support the documentary that comes out tomorrow. A big part of that era was BMF, 50 Cent show on Stars. They highlight a big chunk of that show speaks to the BMF drug cartel that migrated from Detroit down to Atlanta, and they were part of the key characters in that whole scene with Freaknik and everything else. So I would think that you'd have to talk about them. The what's the name brothers? I forget their last name. Flannery brothers. The biggest drug dealers close in the world. They were up there with the Manuel Noriegas and Jose Escobar, Pablo Escobar. They were the Black American version of that.
Sure.
They were huge, so they'll be. I'm sure they'll be talked about, during that special. So tomorrow night, I don't know what time it comes on Hulu tomorrow, but you can stream it, watch it live, whatever. But it's going to be big. But again, it's back to that whole thing we were saying, like. You're talking about a voiceless community that is suddenly given a microphone and the camera's focused on them, and they're going to show out. So you may not like what's going on today, but isn't that an extension? But let me ask you a question, though. With that being said, that whole era is gone. That's a bygone era.
Yes, sir.
They can do. Could they have a Freaknik now with everybody having a camera and everybody posting everything?
No.
You couldn't have that now.
No.
Nah, Snoop.
You forgot the cameras. You forgot the ooh-wops. Everybody with the ooh-wops.
Oh, man, please,
oh,
dude.
God.
We're just
That's done.
everything is
I was lost for a minute.
everything is multiplied by times 3. The sexuality and the off the map, the extraness of Freaknik. You put this current generation in that same scenario.
Because we thought we was doing something with camcorder.
Right.
If you had a camcorder, you could capture that.
You were
absolutely right. You were like,
doing
whoa.
something. Yeah. But now, to your point, everybody has a camera.
Everybody's a cameraman.
Yes.
You can't get away with nothing. These stars today, this is like the worst era ever to be a star.
Because at Greek Picnic,
couldn't have that. Couldn't have none of that.
It was rumbles down there. It was fights. And
Same thing.
half the time you ain't know nothing about it. Unless you saw it or something, but now it's going to be posted. Cats going to get hemmed up by 5 of us.
Snoopy, you take that behavior that went on back in the 90s and late 80s down there, and you stick that in today's era. It's like injecting a turkey with
That's what I'm saying.
steroids.
That's what I'm saying.
You're talking about BBLs. You're
It's
talking about
times
cameras.
3. Absolutely.
The plastic surgery
Absolutely.
thing.
The drugs, the liquor, the alcohol, the access to it all. But, even back then, it was free. But it was like maybe some weed and a few adventurous people maybe did some coke. But the drinking was like, okay, we get whatever's cheap and good. Yeah. So everybody get a case of brew. Because we used to do it the Greek day. Load up the car, a case of brew, Brass Monkey, Long Island iced tea. Whatever was good, cheap, and quick and efficient. You got now, multiply that by 10. Henny. And Louis the 13th. I mean, Cirocs and all, you talking next level. And half these young bucks can't drink anywhere. You
can't drink.
We were much better drinkers back then, but
they're not a shoe.
yeah, absolutely.